Welcome to Big Little Live in partnership with Buick. I'm Amanda Dobbins from The Ringer. This is Mina from ESPN. We're here to answer your questions. It's our mid-season show. We're going to be talking about Big Little Lies. We have a lot of questions from our audience, which we appreciate, but we are still accepting more. So if you have one, please go to hashtag Big Little Live. It will be sent to us through this machine right here. We would love to answer your questions. Mina, I would like to thank you for joining us, even though a dog is not here.
The shirt's kind
or
of
on the show at all.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's like the shirt kind of undermines its own premise when I wear it without my dog.
It's okay. We get the spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's here in his own way.
Yes.
Unlike the city of Monterey, which has no dogs.
Yeah,
I guess it is fitting.
No one submitted that question. I guess we're never going to get answers on it.
What the heck? How often do I have to talk about it to get the conversation going?
Yeah. So we are going to get to your questions shortly. Again, we're at hashtag Big Little Live if you are a procrastinator and would like to submit now. But first, let's just do how are you feeling about season 2? Let's talk about it.
Sure.
We're about halfway through.
Yeah, we're coming off of episode 4. Mm-hmm. The asterisk T is hitting the fan a little bit. I feel
sort
like
of, but also
so the season all started with this kind of concept of, wow, this cover-up of the crime is eating at everyone, and if that was the central mystery of the first season, the mystery of the second season is going to be, are they going to get away with it? And that's kind of disappeared a little bit. I mean, as we talked about in the last episode, they still care about the cover-up. They still feel the Monterey Five, they still feel paranoid. But it feels like most of the tension is surrounding other lies and sort of conflicts in the show.
Yes, they've added more drama, which is good, right? I do feel like if the entire season had just been this one secret and the aftermath, it's a little thin. You got to fill some episodes. I think if anything, they are really filling the episodes. Last night in particular was just a lot of plot.
Very soapy.
And there's still so much that we don't know. We're going to go through, in addition to your questions, we have a lot of theories. Thank you for everyone who is as conspiracy-minded as we are. And we're going to go through them, but there are a lot of loose ends, a lot of things that we don't know and that could go very wrong or could be very dramatic. How about that?
Yeah, I think so. It's gone pretty soapy, especially with the introduction of Meryl Streep's character, who is like an insane device. I don't even know what to call her. Let me ask you this. Before we get into Mary, we will obviously talk about it in depth. Do you feel like the character of Mary Louise, portrayed obviously by the iconic Meryl Streep, is over the top?
Yeah, of course.
Do you feel like she's too over the top? Because this is a show that is like both, it is very extra at times, but it's also very sophisticated and nuanced. Do you feel like she is too unrealistic and has sort of taken the show off of its tracks at all? Or do you feel like they needed a character like that to sustain interest this
Thank
season?
you so much for setting me up to defend Meryl Streep, which I love to do in public at all times.
Yes.
I do not think it's too much. I think it is a lot. And I think we said at the very first episode of this show that I was really into the Meryl Streep performance because I feel that she watches Big Little Lies the way I do, which is like she likes it to be a little extra. She appreciates that in addition to being like a drama where we talk about people's feelings, it's also a soap opera. Plot happens and you want to see people fight with each other and you want it to be extra. So I think that I appreciate that she's bringing that, and I don't mind when she does nutty things. I do think, especially in the last couple episodes with the custody plotline, they have written enough nuance, and it's like really small. And she is still basically a total villain. And I do think that they need to do more character work this season to kind of earn that deep villainy.
Yeah.
But there are these moments where she's just kind of she's standing in for a mother who would do, quote, anything for her kids.
Right.
And it's really tough to watch, but you're kind of like, I guess I see it, maybe.
It's interesting to hear you say that, by the way, that she is like the ultimate helicopter mom from the grave, right? Because the first season was very much, the entire plot was animated by helicopter moms, and it begins with the bullying. And those kids, by the way, have largely kind of disappeared to the wayside this season. There hasn't been as much kid plotting.
There was just like the one school episode where everything went nuts.
But yes, the first season was very much about like, what will these crazy moms do? This season, there is only one truly crazy mom, truly hell-bent on doing anything to repair the image, her mental perception of her child, and that's driving the entire show at this point.
I think Renata is also a crazy mom.
That's true.
If we had to go into it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into the rest of this. Again, this is our mid-season show. This is Big Little Live in partnership with Buick. We are taking your questions. We're gonna answer them right now, but it's not too late. Hashtag Big Little Live. Send us your questions. Here's the first one, and this is from Jordan Solis, and it's about last night. And it's, is Mary Louise going for full custody of the twins and Ziggy?
Oh, and Ziggy.
Yeah,
That's
that's the twist.
Huh.
Because obviously she says to Jane, "I would never do that. You're a wonderful mother." But I don't think we should believe anything that she says.
No, of course not. I don't think so, because I don't think she's going for Ziggy too, as Jane accuses her of. Because I think for her, getting full custody of the twins and having that be sort of her purpose right now and her focus, as opposed to solving the crime or whatever, uncovering the lie, is it's very much about, again, repairing Perry's reputation.
Yes.
It's not actually, like, I do not believe for a second she is actually worried about whether or not Celeste is capable of caring for her kids, even though she has, had some incidents that we'll get to. To me, it's very much about, like, no, I need Perry to have been a good father. I need you to be a bad mother to justify, like, my entire life.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought this was a very clever idea, an interview with Laura Wasser on Vulture this morning, who is a very famous celebrity. She's a celebrity divorce lawyer. Very high profile. I believe that she represented Angelina Jolie and also Khloe Kardashian. But anyway, they were interviewing her about this case and kind of like the legal plausibility of this case. And she points out that that Mary Louise doesn't have a custody case, but that this could be used in order to open up some of the other issues, specifically with Perry, et cetera, which I thought was, I feel we also had a couple people submit that for theories. I thought that was clever.
Interesting. Yeah, right, like it's all just a red herring, like the whole custody thing. Right, well, also, if she actually truly wanted to get custody, it's not enough to be like, oh yeah, sometimes their mom has one-night stands on Ambien. Right. It would be enough to say the mom covered up the murder of the father.
Yes, you would think so. I'm not a legal expert, so please don't.
Those things are certainly intertwined in a way that, whether one is her goal or the other, it seems like she wants to find out.
All right, next question from Kieran Davis. If you had to pick one, this is a very good question. Monterey Five character death or Monterey Five character going to jail?
Ooh. Okay, but not which character. Someone dying from the Five, or one of the Five going to jail. Dying.
I think so too. And it's weird that we haven't talked about that as a possibility yet, because it does make more sense to me than someone getting arrested at this point. I guess it's all the drowning imagery and whatnot.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about the show itself.
Yeah.
This is it. There's not going to be a...
I mean, so they say.
So they say.
So they say. They said that about season 1 too.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, but which I mean, like, it's definitely a show that can afford to kill off one of the main characters, and probably would. So there's not that sort of, none of these characters have plot armor. Like, someone could very well die.
Very true.
In the sort of structure of this show. I just don't think any of them would go to jail. Like, as we talked about, the cover-up is like kind of a stupid cover-up, It's not like some kind of...
I agree. The show has not shown any interest in actually following the legal aspects of this. Also, here's the thing is that, like, really famous actors and actresses love taking roles where they die. Have you noticed this?
Oh, interesting. No, like who?
This is why I thought that Meryl Streep, they either
she could
have
die
to,
too.
It either has to be a twist where they turn out to be the bad person, or else they die. Like, something dramatic has to happen to them. They want a memorable role. If you're Meryl Streep, if you're Reese Witherspoon, if you're Nicole Kidman, and you have done so much in career, then you're looking for something fun to do.
Right. Like, why is Meryl Streep? Well, we talked about it. We think that, and we'll get to the conspiracies or whatever. We think that moment, as though Meryl Streep hasn't had any remarkable acting moments on the show already, but we think perhaps that moment might be later on, whenever she reveals her dark secret. And I think that would also sort of fill that need for her of, like, doing the show. Like, that justifies in her mind all of her behavior, the pain she's overcome, the trauma, whatever.
Twist. And she gets to do the big speech, right?
There's going to be a big Meryl speech at some point.
Yes, I agree.
I do kind of want them to kill her.
I think they might. I think it's on the table. I think it's more likely than she dies than she goes to jail. And I think that's probably true for Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon. Killing Madeline would be nuts. That can't happen.
That'd be amazing.
That would just be like a full turn into soap opera.
Madeline having her, like, Ned Stark moment.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I mean, that would be fun.
I hope it's not Bonnie, because at the end of the last episode, Bonnie's mom has this vision of her drowning.
Yeah.
We talked about it. I was like, God, I hope that's not like a literal vision. I really don't want any mystical elements in this show. So, and I don't think it will. I think that'd be stupid, honestly. And this is a smart show, but we'll see.
Okay. Next question. This is from Ron Morris, and this is kind of like the other side.
Okay.
At least one of the Monterey Five will crack and talk to the police.
Oh boy.
Rank the order from most likely to least likely.
Okay.
So most likely.
Renata.
I still think so because she has so many legal issues.
She has
at this
something
point.
to lose at this point. She needs. I also think that this show went from 0 to 60 in terms of like she wasn't friends with them and now she's like really tight with them, which is very fun. Yeah. But feels a little tenuous and I think a little unlikely.
She's kind of a fake person. I mean, you saw at the party, she's like, oh my God, I'm so you look great. It's like she's faking their friendship and then she'll turn. I agree with you.
Okay, so Renata.
I think Madeline at this point
takes the hit after.
Well, they're also mad at her that they kind of, she's in a corner now. And so she's just going to kind of go and blow it up. That's like, maybe that's even. Yeah. She might even be my number one at this point.
No, I agree with you. And then I would put Bonnie. Which I don't think it is likely to happen because it was sort of teased at the very beginning of the series. But it's more just that first, Celeste is 5 for me because she cannot have this get out because of the custody battle.
Exactly, I agree.
And then Jane, I don't see why she would either, unless perhaps Mary Louise goes for her kid too.
I think there's a case for Jane being like, this is madness, and as Jane is kind of the only healthy one and the only one who kind of seems at this point anyway
Jane
to have
is
a grip
just,
on reality of just being like,
drama.
we have to, which makes me nervous. I think she's out on the drama for now.
For now, yeah.
Okay, so I guess Renata, Madeline, Bonnie, Jane, Celeste.
I agree with you, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Consensus.
Next question is from Rachel Oates. Has Meryl ever had a character this unlikable? I loved Miranda in Devil Wears Prada, but here, as fun as it is to see Meryl act with all these powerhouse women, I still absolutely hate Mary Louise due to other allegiances. It's a great question. It is difficult to watch Meryl be this unlikable. And I think she's certainly far more unlikable than the Devil Wears Prada character, who's basically correct.
The best.
Yeah, she's right. She's not always nice about it, but she's correct. I think, I'm trying to remember, Meryl's Doubt character, a lot of people have been comparing it to her Doubt character, who is also not particularly fun to be around.
Yes, it's like a kind of.
I think this is kind of a question you have to wait till the end.
I was gonna say because if Meryl does have that moment that we are anticipating, where there's this big reveal of the dark secret, and it's like, this is why I've been doing all of these things. I don't think that necessarily justifies any of her behavior on the show, but I think she is gonna do a crazy acting job to make you feel those emotions and those sentiments. Like, what if you find out that Meryl's ex-husband was a horribly villainous person and she escaped from him and she's protecting, would that make you, I guess, more sympathetic to her in the broad scheme of things?
Possibly, though at the same time, I was just thinking, I find her really difficult to watch and it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
While I also think she's giving a great performance, but not every character has to be likable. There we go.
In the previous show, we raised the question of, will Meryl break good? To me, breaking good isn't giving this big speech where she reveals her backstory. It's like doing something, sacrificing herself in some way, which I entirely think is possible, right? Like, let's say there's another crime or murder, something else happens. I could see Meryl Streep post-revelation potentially taking the fall for some of the other women on the show.
Oh, interesting. I thought that was going to happen in the beginning, and now, for whatever reason, I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, she's just so villainous that it doesn't seem like she has that impulse, that ability to care about other people.
Yeah, we don't really know what she cares about other than protecting the legacy.
I think it would be hard to develop that in 3 episodes, to the point where I would believe that she would.
If what we think is going to happen, which is again this massive Meryl revelation, there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done in these last 3 episodes. Like they're gonna happen fast.
Yes.
Not burning down the entire King's Landing fast, but it's gonna be a lot of action jam-packed.
It is true, and we've already gone through so much in this season that I think. I believe in the show's ability to do it, at least in the pace that it has so far, but we're moving through a lot. That's just kind of, which, you know what, I like it. It's the summer, just make plot happen, make things happen on my television. It's great stuff. Okay, moving on. This question is from Garrett Ross. Which celebrity couple has the most Monterey energy IRL? This is a great question.
It's a great question.
Hold on. So someone else already suggested Gwyneth Paltrow. May I defend Gwyneth Paltrow? Not defend Gwyneth Paltrow, but Gwyneth Paltrow would not live in Monterey. Like, Renata is C-list Gwyneth Paltrow. She would like to be.
Yeah.
But she's not busy enough. She's not at work enough. She hasn't won an Oscar. Yeah. It's the thing to remember about these women is, as ridiculous and over the top that they are, they're striving still. They're all trying to be more than they are.
That's a great point. I have an answer that's not really a couple, but it's a celebrity friendship.
Okay.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Wow. All right.
So much like Monterey Five energy. The Silicon Valley stuff, the New Age stuff from Kyrie. I don't know if you saw his Instagram post this morning about following his eye or whatever. He's on that like Marianne Williamson, wavelength.
Okay.
Just feels like they would fit right in.
It's certainly, there does seem to be a lot of kind of like inter-team drama in the NBA.
That's true,
That's circling around.
The Monterey Five, the Hampton Five.
Yeah.
This is the
right. Okay, the Hampton Five.
There's some
Can you
connections
translate that
there.
for the people who were maybe not on Twitter all night last night?
So for those who don't know, this is where the Ringer is really coming together.
Yeah, this is good. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's get into
we're
it.
doing some NBA free agency talk here. So the Hampton Five was obviously the Warriors lineup with KD. Now KD and Kyrie are teammates. The problem is they're in Brooklyn, right? Because there's just a very Monterey Five thing.
It actually kind of is. It's like,
You know what though? Yeah, it works, right? Maybe that's where Tom is with his new coffee shop.
Maybe.
He has a very Brooklyn vibe from the beginning. Jane
true.
has a very Brooklyn vibe as well.
Maybe the end of season 2 will be them joining the Nets as well. I have an answer for this, which I don't want to be read negatively because I like this celebrity very much. I think it's just like if the Monterey Five went to therapy and found a sense of purpose beyond themselves.
Okay.
And weren't sniping all the time. I don't know. These women need some extra work, but that's fine. Jennifer Garner.
Oh.
You guys up on Jennifer Garner's Instagram videos where
No.
she does like her own cooking channel? She loves Ina Garten, as do I. And she does these kind of Ina Garten tribute videos in her kitchen where she's just like baking stuff. And she clearly has a camera crew, but they're also supposed to be like homey vibe. And so you can just see the aspiration, but it's nice.
She gives me a strong Madeline vibe generally, as a celebrity and a person. I don't know how much that is the Capital One commercials and how much of it is actually like who she is. That's a great point. But and I think Ben Affleck, they're not together. That's over, right? That
is over, right? But that was some drama. Yes.
Well, he very much seems like a Big Little Lies husband in that he like sucks.
Wow. Okay. It's been a long road. It's been a long road. Okay. If you're just joining us, this is Big Little Live in partnership with Buick. This is our mid-season show. We are answering your questions. If you have one, hashtag Big Little Live. You're almost running out of time, but do your best. Our next question is from Stephanie Snowden, who happens to be our producer. But it's a good question, so you know what? We accept all submissions. All right, this is long because Stephanie did her homework. Bonnie's mom says, "What did you do this time early in the season?" After her mom's stroke, Bonnie's dad seems to blame Bonnie. Combined with the drowning imagery, any ideas on what this means? This is one of the central questions.
This is also a mystery that we don't know the answer to, which is what happened with Bonnie and her mom when Bonnie was a child. And they've teased it with flashbacks. They showed Bonnie's mom has hinted at like, oh, you've kind of rejected my whatever spiritual vision thing.
Right.
There's
You're
flashbacks.
so mad about it.
I don't know.
What if she's trying to help?
I'm just not about that.
What if she's trying to help?
I'm just not about that stuff. And then there's, by the way, I said this in the last show, I'm not about it either as a human being who thinks crystals are not like a real thing. I'm very anti-crystal. And also, again, like, the only two black characters in the show do not need to be mystical. Do not do that, Big Little Lies to me.
That's a good point.
And there's also flashbacks of Bonnie's mom dunking her under the water, Bonnie's mom shaking her. There's kind of like violent imagery. We don't know if that was abusive. We don't know what direction it went and who was triggered. The dad suggesting that Bonnie is somehow to be implicated in is a little bit alarming. I have no idea.
I don't really either. I keep thinking about the conversation that Bonnie and her mother have on the hike when Bonnie's mom first arrives.
Yeah.
And she says, "You're surrounded by people who don't understand you. We know how Bonnie loves her walls." So, which to me suggests that something happened to Bonnie.
Yes.
That Bonnie was involved in something, that those aren't a vision, that they're a flashback or maybe an associative image, but something happened to Bonnie, Bonnie did something or was a part of, or something happened to her and to someone else, and she survived. I don't really know.
One quick thing too,
Yeah.
the image at the end of Bonnie drowning, again, I hate that this is like a real vision, but whatever. If it is a real vision, it's not of her dying, it's just of her struggling. That could happen. She doesn't have to die for that to be borne out in some way, for her to be endangered and to require saving, perhaps by Meryl, I don't know. But it doesn't necessarily mean that she dies.
Yeah.
So
I agree. We'll find out. That is one of the major questions. All right, this is a question for you.
Ooh.
This is from Alex, and his question is, I have no answer to this. What character do you think would be the best NFL coach?
clearly Laura Dern's character, Renata.
Really?
The most hard-charging. I feel like she has kind of a Bill Belichick energy to her. Very strong point of view, system, doesn't take crap from people. I'll go with Renata. I mean, just the other women would be so bad, I think.
Madeline doesn't have a... I guess
Madeline's
she just...
a disaster.
Yeah, she is a disaster. But she is just so bossy. That's the only...
Right. It's important to be bossy
Okay.
and to show leadership if you're a head
Yeah.
coach.
All right.
I just love Renata.
Okay. I believe her. I don't know what... Anyway. Hope that was the satisfying answer for you. The next question is from Katie Baker.
Ooh.
Katie Baker from The Ringer. It's actually two parts. One, why does Nathan get women? And number two, where is Renata's assistant? Because wouldn't she have one? I think the latter one is just a great question, and they just didn't want to introduce too many people. There are enough people kind of chattering. Why does Nathan get women? I have an answer to this, but I'll answer...
Two answers.
Yeah.
One, he is hot.
That's my answer.
Second answer is actually sort of pertinent to the show, which is Bonnie apparently, I think her mom says this, and we kind of agree with her, clearly doesn't want to be with someone who can break through her walls or understand her on some deeper level, so she chose the himbo that is Nathan.
Got it.
What do you think?
I just really think that...
He's hot.
Yeah, he's hot.
He's very hot.
And she clearly likes fighting. She likes getting in people's business. She likes...
Bonnie.
No, I'm sorry, Madeline.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Madeline.
yeah.
Bonnie
Right,
was
because Madeline
interesting.
was with him too.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah. Bonnie, I think Bonnie's mother explained it best, where like Bonnie is picking people who aren't really gonna like get
The assistant
close to
question,
her.
by the way, Katie, is a good one because I've mentioned this, like Renata's supposed to be like a CEO and on boards and stuff, and she never works.
Yeah.
So it is a very good point that they never show her either talking about or doing her job.
Occasionally she's on the Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's
But
the
it's just
universal
also,
signifier for work.
I mean, that's the other thing of she lives in Monterey, and I think that commute is the commute is long enough that Mary Louise is not willing to do it from San Francisco to Monterey in order to oversee.
That's also
right.
weird. Why is she in Monterey?
Maybe she does have an assistant, but her assistant is based in San Francisco and does all the work for her.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question from Meg Rowley. Is there a heel height at which Madeline could have garnered Mary Louise's trust and still been able to walk?
Such a good question. Thank you, Meg.
I don't think you can trust kitten heels. If you are suspicious, then you don't trust the kitten heel because it's
Kitten
barely
heels are
trying.
weird anyways. Why wear kitten heels? Like,
I
just
always
wear
slip on them.
shoes or wear heels.
I like that. I just somehow they slide off. I don't know. There's not like
awkward.
ankle stability there for whatever reason.
Right. They just look kind of weird
Okay.
to me.
Maybe that's just
well.
me.
How tall? We talked about this.
Yeah.
How tall is Reese Witherspoon? She's tiny.
I would say that she's closer to 5 feet than 6 feet. Yeah.
What do you think, as someone who came out earlier in the season as being against short people? What do you think is the height at which you start trusting people?
Wow. It's not a matter of trust. That's a misrepresentation of my complex feelings about being a taller person and feeling tall. So I guess it would have to be, I would feel less threatened. This is about me. Not about shorter women. At the 5'4", 5'5" range?
The 5'4", 5'5" range.
I don't know,
Wow.
so that I'm not totally aware. This is my thing. I'm just like, I'm towering over you.
No, it's like you're like an NFL scout. You've got...
Yes,
you know,
and I, as many people have said throughout time, I, Amanda Dobbins, am like an NFL scout. Yes.
Yeah, but every now and then, like a Kyler Murray comes around.
Okay.
That's
Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I'm only 5'6", so it would be pretty judgy of me to look down on 5'2". I mean, literally, I guess I look down.
You're literally doing it, but not emotionally. Neither. Yeah.
No, I'm okay with that. You know, the thing I don't like, we talked about this, is like this probably shouldn't be on there or whatever, like a really, really tall person and a really, really short person, kind of like when Hayden Panettiere was dating that boxer, that gigantic boxer. Because I just feel like you're making things harder for the rest of the world. Because really, really tall women and men need to find, and really, really short women and men need to find other really, really short people. I think generally it's good.
They don't need to, but they might want to.
Yeah, well, it's hard out there for like a really, tiny dude and a really tall lady.
That's true.
And you're exhausting their supply. It's kind of selfish when you think about it.
All right, so to answer this question, I'm thinking like 2 to 3 inch wedges is probably the best bet. Okay, great. This is our last question for the moment, which is from Amelia, and it's, do you think what we've seen of, this is a great question. Wow, great job, Amelia. Do you think what we've seen of Perry's death, all the flashbacks, is what actually happened? Or are we seeing imagined versions from the ladies? This is very perceptive. I gotta be honest, I'm just thinking about this right now. So until this question, I would have said that they were just showing it from different perspectives, and that's what happened. But of course, these are all people who went through a traumatic event, and that's going to affect how you remember things. And this is great.
Maybe Madeline actually did think in the moment that he slipped. Like maybe she was kind of, Madeline is the one who comes out and gives the excuse to the cops. It's entirely possible that Bonnie wasn't the one who did it. I mean, she talks about it like she did. I don't know why she would put that on herself.
I think it is probably. I think because what we saw at the end of the first season was her running up.
Right.
But I do think that kind of these flashbacks, these jumbled moments of, especially the decisions that they made afterwards.
Yeah.
It is a little different each time, which maybe they're all remembering it
that is
a little differently.
I would love to go back. Because they've started a lot of the episodes with different women thinking about the crime and thinking about what happened.
Yeah. It's smart. Anyway, that's very smart. I will be thinking more about that. Speaking of that scene and of that location, you and I got to visit it last week. And it was less dramatic this time, which is great for everybody. I'm Amanda Dobbins from The Ringer.
I'm Mina Kimes from ESPN.
And it's time for a big little road trip in partnership with Buick. Where are we going today?
Today we're going to Barnsdall Art Park, which plays a big role in the first season of Big Little Lies.
Yeah, it doubles for kind of like the arts community center in season 1. It's like where the theater is, where Madeline gets into some trouble. Most importantly, it is where karaoke night, or trivia night, as you pointed out, but like in karaoke is also done at trivia night at this beautiful art park, like outdoor space, and that is where the final episode is, and that's where Perry dies.
It is this beautiful location tucked inside Los Feliz in LA, behind a Rite Aid, which is why I didn't know it existed, and it's gorgeous.
Next to and above, really, because it's on hill.
It's incredible that this elementary school has their fundraiser in which no trivia is actually mentioned, despite the fact that it's called Trivia Night at this park. It's very extravagant, it's over the top. We've got moms and dads coming in, elaborate costumes, and it's gorgeous.
In real life in Los Angeles, it turns out you can just roll up and go to the art park.
Who knew?
There is also a very fancy house there, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Maybe you've heard of him. Yeah. And you can tour it. And yeah, it's kind of like a park, and with like really excellent architecture, a lot of beautiful trees. It's beautiful. It is also like astonishingly close to here, and that's one of the interesting things about this show is that it's obviously set in Monterey, but many of the locations are filmed all across California, even like down the road in Los Angeles.
One of the few things you can see when you go there that you might remember, or that viewers of the first season will probably remember, because it plays such a large part in the first season, is the staircase that Perry falls down and dies.
Right, and that is also, they show it a few times before the final scene. It's under construction, and Madeline moves the under construction tape to walk up it. But yes, in real life, it's there, and it's quite beautiful, as is the rest of Barnsdall.
Like, would you go there and get like a creepy? Some people really like going to like murder scenes.
I don't know.
You know,
I mean, it's a fictional death scene. I don't know whether that's the scene out of Big Little Lies that I personally would reenact if I were going to visit.
Yeah,
no, I think that I'll skip that. Maybe I would do like the karaoke stage instead. So Mina, in the next few weeks, we're going to be checking out some other locations that are also featured in the show.
I feel like I have to step up my outfit game when we're lurking outside Renata's house.
Yeah, that's going to be totally normal. So please join us next week for more Big Little Road Trip in partnership with Buick. Welcome back to Big Little Live in partnership with Buick. It's our mid-season show. We just answered your questions. Thank you. We're going to do some quick awards. I think we have 4.
Okay.
First one, this is very straightforward. The MVP of the season so far. Mina, who you got?
I know we just kind of talked
You
about...
and I agreed about this. We talked about this.
Okay, yes.
You want to change it?
Well, no. There's 2 for
fine.
me. There's 2. There's
Listen,
2 MVPs.
do whatever you want, fam.
Well, okay. My favorite character,
Yeah.
Renata.
Yes, of course.
Has been unbelievable this season.
That's who I picked. I picked Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Because I think that she was underused. I'm sure there are sports terms for this, and I don't really know it, but she was underused in the first season. She was low usage in the first season, and they've really upped the. You want to fill in?
Well, her usage has gone up.
There we go.
She's become more ball dominant.
Wow, look at me, a sports expert.
Yeah.
And they are giving her just a tremendous amount of ridiculous things to do, and she's shining.
She's really captures, I think, what's so great about this show, which is its ability to encompass multiple genres at once.
Yes.
She is hilarious. Smart. She is ridiculous. She is over the top. She's a little bit villainous still at moments in her own way, but then she also is extremely sympathetic. She has been victimized this season by her own husband. She has great emotional moments. It's emerged, I think, that she is a good mother and a good friend. So far, because we think her as most likely to turn. So she contains multitudes, I think, and firmly deserves the MVP award.
Yes. So do you want to do your other?
I would give it to her. I would say, while I do think at times the character Mary Louise is a little bit over the top, I appreciate how, while they have gone full villain at all times, they sneak in these moments of softness and that make you kind of question Mary Louise's intentions and kind of who she is in the spectrum of the show. It's a really carefully calibrated character, and I do also think a performance, because just when you're like, Meryl Streep, this is too much, she sneaks in a moment of emotion or weakness or something. And it's real, it's believable. I think also just in the MVP conversation, I do not think that we would have season 2 without Meryl Streep being on it. I don't know, I was not in charge of the decision, and I'm thrilled we have it, but you gotta figure that Meryl Streep is what's making this happen. That's kind of like the James Harden MVP, because they need her. You know, I do know, Laura Dern's more the Giannis argument. Do you like James Harden? I like the video of him dancing, and then I really liked his GQ cover with the flowers. Yeah. I related to that. Anyway. Wow, James Harden. Shout out to Rockets fans. What's up, Sean Yu? Okay, our next award value. Not dominance. Is the best Meryl moment. Okay. So you go first. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this short girl speech. It's incredible. With all respect to people of all heights, and I don't want to do it, but it was so crazy too, because it could have been so lame, and yet she just put her back into it. She really did. And honestly, the part was also especially great just because of how the kids reacted and how Nicole Kidman reacted, the abject horror on their faces as Mary Louise screamed. And it was a great moment, again, because this character is so intelligently written and nuanced. When she does something like that, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what's the strategy here? It doesn't feel like some dumb, impulsive thing or just the character, the actor doing it to act. Right. It feels like there's a strategic element to literally everything she does in the show. And as she was doing that, I was like, what is she trying to do here? Yes. Like, what reaction is she trying to elicit? Yeah, it's not just shock value. There is a lot of kind of character and plot. I mean, also great memes. I just got to say, I really enjoyed the memes. Okay, our next award, these are our mid-season awards, this is a great title, I didn't write this. The Monterey Bay Community Theater Award for Excellent Performance. So the best acting, and I think we've talked about how this is just a stacked cast and everyone's doing really great work. You and I wanted to talk about it a little bit in terms of kind of awards categories, because it is 6 women who will presumably be up for an Emmy and for awards. And last year it was interesting, or I suppose 2 years ago, the first season was interesting because it was Nicole Kidman versus Reese Witherspoon in the leading actress, and Nicole Kidman won. And then in Best Supporting Actress, it was Laura Dern and Shailene Woodley, and Laura Dern won. I think that Nicole and Reese would most likely stay in Best Lead Performance. And the question is where do you put Meryl? Yeah. Because I would have thought supporting, but frankly, people make these things up all the time. You could just as easily put her in lead actress, I think, when it's something ensemble-wise. And like,
maybe Meryl has a better chance in lead actress because I think supporting-wise, Laura Dern and Shailene Woodley and Zoe Kravitz have all been excellent this year.
Also, and this might be a little bit controversial, I think Adam Scott, he's not in the same category, but also I just want to, yes, you're right, Shailene Woodley and Zoe Kravitz didn't really have, Shailene had a lot to do last season. I didn't love her character. Bonnie had almost nothing to do.
Right.
This season, they have really emerged. Jane's had a little bit less to do, Bonnie's had a little bit more to do, but they've really held their own with these marquee actresses. I feel the same way about Adam Scott, actually, because the first season of the show, we were joking about how the male characters are very flat and one-dimensional, which is usually it's the reverse on television or movies. They have given him a lot to work with this season, and it's very frustrating to watch at times, and he's a very infuriating character. He's alternately sympathetic and kind of pathetic and passive, but I think it's a very good performance I don't think we've seen something like this out of Adam Scott.
Yeah, it's true. We were talking about this beforehand, and you made this case, and I was like, but he's so annoying.
But he's supposed to be.
You wisely pointed out that's the point. I think that's wise.
As far as the main, God, Nicole Kidman's been so good this season. Reese has had a little bit more of an understated performance. We've talked about this a bit. As I think if any character sort of has lessened a little bit or faded back at time, although then she had that great speech at the assembly.
Yeah,
so what
I was
am I
just
talking
thinking about
She's
Rainbow
had these
Connection.
incredible
It's
moments.
just kind of she's personally in crisis.
Yeah.
She's not busybodying other people. It's really it's her marriage that's falling apart. It's everyone blaming her for the secrets. So she can't be, thus far she has not been as fireworksy. But
I will say also just one last thing about the acting on this show.
Yeah.
The acting carries it at times when I think sometimes the writing and plot it's still great. It's a great show. It's super sophisticated and interesting, but I think it's so often carried by the acting.
Of course. I think in a lot of ways we watch this show because it is these 6 incredible actresses. You just don't get that on TV that often, both because Meryl Streep has not really done TV before.
Yeah.
Because it's fairly new in terms of movie stars doing television, and also just because they don't really make that many shows with this many women. So
it's very cool.
Good for all of them. Okay, our last award, really, really quick. Fit of the season. We both picked Renata.
It's got to be the Roland Mouret pink blazer gown where she's
I would love to,
It's My House.
If someone could just get Mina a fashion shoot where she gets to wear that, just anyone, maybe there we go.
And then it was not her house anymore.
Not
sad.
anymore.
Very sad.
That's sad. Oh wow, that was foreshadowing, huh?
Deep.
I'm going with Renata off duty as Gordon gets arrested.
Oh my God.
With the puffy coat and then I believe it was a Gucci fanny pack.
Yeah, it is a Gucci fanny pack. Incredible.
Great
Incredible.
stuff. Congratulations to her. Okay. We are going to do a quick one step ahead, which is when we talk about what's coming. But really, this is a conspiracy corner. And so, great. Mina's wearing her tinfoil hat. There we go. Okay, good job.
Yeah.
How long do you think? If it falls off, it'll be a good gift. So that'll be great. Okay. So we're just going to go through some of the unanswered questions, but really more conspiracy-esque theories that we have about them. And we also got some reader submissions for these, so thank you.
Great ones.
Yes,
you guys are fellow conspiracy truthers. I love it.
It's kind of what else, that's what's fun about the show. Okay, so the first one is, we have talked about this a little bit already, what is the deal with Mary Louise's past?
Yeah, okay, this is the biggest conspiracy.
Yes. And we have a couple suggestions. Okay, the first is from Melinda Satzella, and it's obvious that Mary Louise knows and has known that Perry has always been, I'm not allowed to say this word, not great, and just doesn't care. Bonus theory, she killed her other kid because he wasn't Perry enough.
I don't think
and Celeste has to say the transformer at some point. Melinda, this is this some galaxy brain stuff.
Was with
we salute you. That's great, creativity. I think the part about her knowing about Perry is correct.
That there's no way she doesn't know.
Yeah.
There's questions of how much she knows, perhaps, because he was an adult man living. I don't know. She didn't necessarily know everything he did, and there's also questions of what did he show as a kid? I think for me,
I think also the idea of what does she know? She may be familiar with a lot of his behavior, but because she is such a tunnel vision mother, is interpreting it a different way. And I think to a lot of this character is in a lot of ways about what does motherhood cause people to, what are the limitations and aspects of motherhood?
Absolutely, and society, how do some corners of society view Me Too. We had that discussion earlier in the season, rape, or, and I think using her as the mother to channel some of those unsavory reactions or retrograde reactions is really appropriate, because I think a lot of times when, not to get like super big picture, but when people do have those reactions, they're thinking, what if it was my son?
Yeah.
Who did this, or my kid, or whatever, and she is literally going through that process right now, thinking, well, my son would never, my son would never. But she clearly knows something.
Right. She's aware of something, but what she's doing with that information is kind of the question. Our other related theory is from Brooke T.
Okay.
Which is Perry's dad was also abusive, and he killed Perry's brother when they were little, and then Mary Louise killed her husband.
It's a lot there. So
this is a lot.
We've theorized something similar to this.
I think we've theorized part of it is that there is something going on with Perry's father. I think that Perry's brother's death was suspicious. We believe.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to Perry's father. Mary Louise says he left her, but who the heck knows if that's true. Perry doesn't say that when he's telling, in that flashback scene, when he's telling Celeste about his brother dying, he doesn't talk about his father. We have no information about what happened to him. So it's possible, unlikely, that he just simply left because he couldn't forgive her.
Yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that she did kill him in an act of self-defense.
Yes.
Similarly to what happened to Perry. I would not be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Okay, our next theory is from you. It's your Raymond theory. Would you like to present it?
Yes. So, I think...
This is a fantastic visual. I'm so pleased we have it. Continue.
I believe... Okay, so Mary Louise says that Raymond was killed in an accident. I 100% do not believe that's true. I think there are 3 people who could have killed him. And there's shades.
Involved in the death.
Yes. Similarly to, honestly, the death of Perry, which I wouldn't describe as a straight-up murder, right?
No, I don't think the law would either. I think we've been a little loose with that, but...
Similarly, there's 3 possibilities. 1, it was Mary Louise. 2, it was Perry. 3, it was the dad.
Okay.
Who somehow was involved in the death of the child. I'm inclined to think it was either Perry or the father. And this is going to be revealed in Mary Louise's big redemption speech. I think it's entirely possible that Perry or the father somehow caused the death of Raymond, and that Mary Louise somehow started seeing the signs of Perry also being violent, whether it was in that incident or, kind of helping his father later on as time went on. But she extricated themselves from the father in some ways.
So you're seeing basically a parallel track between what she did for Raymond and Perry, and then what Celeste is sort of doing for...
Well, I think Mary
she's trying
Louise,
to do the same thing for Perry now that she did for him.
I think her husband was very likely a Perry.
Okay.
I think that's probably... And whether he killed Raymond or Perry killed Raymond, I don't know. But I think it was a murder or some sort of negligent death, and I think that she has been covering that up this entire time.
Okay.
No question.
I buy that.
I want to throw out...
Yeah.
Another Mary Louise theory. This is something we haven't talked about at all, but I've been seeing on the internet and respect a great deal. The theory is...
Yeah, good.
Mary Louise is drugging Celeste.
Oh.
Because she's rummaging around in her pill drawers.
Yeah.
We only know that Celeste started having these episodes after Mary Louise showed up.
Yeah.
It's a little soapy.
It is a little soapy. And I feel it's possible. I think I would be a little disappointed by that.
Well, okay, here's what I want to ask though. Like, what? Okay.
To try to confuse her,
I
guess.
No, I get why she would do it. I'm just kind of wondering, like, the logistics of how she would execute it. Because the night with the bartender, we don't even know when she takes the Ambien.
Right.
Necessarily.
Right.
But it's possible that...
I mean, she could be subbing in Ambien with something else, I suppose, because we do see her in the pill drawer. I would find that...
doubling the dosage or something.
I would find that, like, to be a little beyond my personal soap taste.
Yeah.
And then also, I think this Celeste stuff is very tough, but is at least... she's working through grief, and there are sometimes, extra consequences of that, and to totally just make it to go full soap opera would undermine that aspect of it a little bit to me. I'm not saying it's wrong.
No, I think it's probably not likely as well, but it kind of understand why people think it's happening.
We got to get to the most important question, which is what happened to Tom? What happened to Tom? So there's like the common theory, which has been floating around, which was a Huffington Post interview with the owner of the season 1 coffee shop, which it was based on. I believe it's a set, but it's based on a place anyway.
An Italian restaurant or something.
Yeah, who was theorizing, who is theorizing that maybe Andrea Arnold, who is directing the second season, just wanted a different feel.
Right.
And she wanted a way to distinguish it from the first season.
It's probably true, but it's boring.
Yes. So here's the other theory from Nathan McQuarrie is, do we think Gordon actually drove Tom out of business? Which seems plausible. Though again, I just why can't we get at least one, plot line explaining that, which is how I didn't even realize that I had this conspiracy until right now. But does this mean, is Tom going to play a big role at the end of the season? Are they purposely not giving us information because he's going to come save the day at some point?
Because he's Raymond.
Okay.
Then there's the Banks theory, which is there's only one possible explanation for a haircut that ugly.
Okay.
A breakup.
Sure, but just say it. Give me one line. It's been 4 episodes. Give me one line explaining it.
We checked the actor's IMDb. Yeah. It's not like he's making another TV show or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone tell us, please.
Okay, we have 2 more theories from Twitter that we're going to go through really quickly. The first is from Ben Miller. The twins aren't Perrys. After all the struggles to conceive, Celeste cheated and got pregnant. I mean, that's a twist. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, and to what end? I don't really see how that would... Look, listen, I love it. But I don't see how it would serve, the plot, in any way.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think we want Celeste having been actually doing what Mary Louise suggested, which is driving her husband away.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other is from Mo Favo, and maybe this is too obvious, but don't you think that Renata is going to tell Gordon and he will leverage for advantage in penalty for his crimes?
We talked about this because there's this question is why is this Gordon bankruptcy, financial crimes, insider trading plotline so prevalent on the show? I do think it serves the purpose of showing how women are disempowered and, their relationship sort of becoming this symbol of that in her life. It's not completely
The show is investigating what a marriage means from a lot of different perspectives.
But we talked about it because it would make sense. We've been talking about who's the character most likely to turn. We agree it's Renata. This would be...
And it would also explain why Detective Quinlan was there when he was arrested.
Yeah, right, yeah. It seems possible.
Yeah, she hasn't been that many places, and she was right there.
My love.
Wow.
Don't do it.
All right, so this
Although more screen time for Gordon would be good.
Okay, great. This is going to be a Gordon spinoff with you and your hat. Ugh. All right, this is our last one, and this is just for you and me. Is do the Monterey Five get found out? And we talked about this last night, but where are you feeling after this whole journey of theories?
Found out by who? Right, there's the cops finding them out. I don't think there's any legal ramifications that they go for just because it's who cares? I do think Mary Louise finds out. I think
does she already know? Is she one of the she knows from last night?
Yeah, I don't think she knows exactly what happened. Look, no one knows exactly what happened except for the 5 at this point, unless
do they? Are the flashbacks that we're seeing confused?
Oh, you mean
I just thought of the question from earlier of do they totally understand?
The only way it gets out is if one of them turns. We've talked about that because there's no evidence, there's no secret videotape or whatever, and so I do think someone's going to turn, someone's going to tell because of the pressure of all these other plot lines, possibly Renata. So I do think people will find out. I don't think that's going to have massive ramifications. I don't think this is going to end with a self-defense or first-degree manslaughter trial.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think there's also the possibility that Detective Quinlan actually does kind of finally confront them and chooses not to pursue it because, again, she does not seem hugely interested in pursuing this case. So I think maybe they get found out in that they all have to face the consequences or their ramifications interpersonally at least. But again, we don't really, as we said at the beginning of the show, we don't really think anyone's going to jail.
I think, we asked at the very beginning, it's more likely that someone goes to jail or dies. Yeah. I think it's much more likely that the emotional climax of the show, there's probably a Mary Louise speech to be had and a revelation of whatever her secret is, and I think it's likely something like a death, a drowning, a saving, whatever. Yeah. There's going to be something that happens that has nothing to do at all with the crime.
I agree with you. Okay, I guess we'll find out. This has been our mid-season show. Thank you for watching Big Little Live in partnership with Buick. We will be back on Sunday after the East Coast airing of Big Little Lies. See you then.